The story of Nelson Mandela, a legacy of freedom in Africa. Nelson Rolihlahla. Mandela was born on July 18, 1918, in the small village of Mavezo in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. From a young age, Mandela was deeply influenced by the customs and leadership traditions of his Xhosa heritage, particularly the stories of resistance against colonialism told by village elders. Mandela went on to study law at the University of Fort Hare and later the University of Witwatersrand, where he became increasingly aware of the deep racial injustices facing Black South Africans under the brutal system of apartheid, a policy of racial segregation and white supremacy imposed by the ruling National Party. In the 1940s, Mandela joined the African National Congress, ANC, and co-founded its Youth League, calling for mass resistance against apartheid. Over time, his activism shifted from peaceful protest to more direct resistance. In 1961, he co-founded the ANC's armed wing, Umkhonto we Sizwe, Spear of the Nation, which carried out sabotage against government installations. In 1962, Mandela was arrested and later sentenced to life in prison for conspiring to overthrow the state. He spent 27 years in prison, mostly on Robben Island, confined but never silenced. From his cell, Mandela became a global symbol of resistance, dignity, and hope. The tide of history began to change in the late 1980s. Global pressure, economic sanctions, and internal unrest forced the South African government to rethink apartheid. In 1990, Nelson Mandela was finally released from prison by President F.W. de Klerk, and negotiations began to dismantle apartheid. In 1994, after the country's first multiracial democratic elections, Nelson Mandela became South Africa's first Black president. His leadership was marked not by revenge but by reconciliation. He worked to unite a deeply divided nation and laid the foundation for a democratic South Africa. Mandela stepped down after one term, continuing to serve as a moral leader for the continent and the world. He received hundreds of honors, including the Nobel Peace Prize in 1993, shared with de Klerk. Nelson Mandela passed away on December 5, 2013, but his legacy continues to inspire movements for justice and freedom across Africa and the world. Key themes of Mandela's life: courage in the face of oppression, patience and endurance through years of imprisonment, forgiveness and reconciliation instead of revenge, commitment to equality, democracy, and justice. Mandela once said, "I have walked that long road to freedom. I have tried not to falter. I have taken a moment here to rest, to steal a view of the glorious vista that surrounds me. But I can only rest for a moment, for with freedom comes responsibilities." He was not just a South African hero,